It's quite possible that I might actually be mad. It's a sweltering hot day in the middle of summer, and I've chosen today to walk up to 1,200 meters above sea level to a little alpine lake called a tarn. This is one of those spots that's so beautiful that even though it's a really tough walk, it's about 2.5 hours straight uphill, absolutely relentless uphill, but I promise you this one's worth it. It's gorgeous. I've still got about another 100 meters to climb, and this last little push is right through the middle of the river. Fortunately, there's no water coming down the river because it's summer, and the water in the tarn is probably not high enough to be releasing down the river. The route that I need to take, believe it or not, is up there. This isn't a very well-known walk. Part of the reason is because it's not maintained. It's quite hard to see where the track is. In fact, sometimes when you look around, you just can't see any evidence of a track. You have to know where it is and follow it on the topographical map. But you might see occasionally, see if I can point to it, little red squares. And that's about the only way you know you're going the right way. And rock cairns. So annoying. This is what it's been like the whole way. Towards the light, people. Towards the light. Two more minutes, I think, and we'll be there. Oh, fantastic. Here is my old camping spot and what we came for. Oh, the tarn. Wow. Oh. It's nice having a light pack. I often get comments about how heavy my pack looks. This is my camera gear. But otherwise, this is all I have brought this time. You'll be proud of me. One of the things I struggle to adapt to when the weather's really nice, like this, when it's summertime and it's not raining, is the amount of flies and sandflies, just the bugs in general in the summertime. It's so annoying. I decided to bring my hammock with me rather than a tent, just for a change really, and also because having been here before, I knew that there was a beautiful spot over there where you get a lovely view out over the water and the trees are nicely set up for a hammock. I'm trying to work out if that's where I went on a previous camp. I think it is. There's a walk you can do on the other side of the valley where you're allowed to take dogs. You're not allowed dogs on this side because this is the Lewis Pass National Park. But across there, I was able to take Indy because it's the edge, I think, of the Lake Sumner Forest Park. I'd have to check that. I'm trying to get my EPIRB off my pack so I can take it with me. I'm struggling. So I'm just going to take the whole pack. I'll leave some of these heavier things here. Better to be safe than sorry. I keep thinking it'd be such a shame to walk all the way into camp with my safety gear and then go for a walk and something ends up happening. So I like to take my EPIRB with me and some warm clothes whenever I go for a walk. Oh, amazing. Right, let's go. The cliffs behind me are so impressive. Everywhere I look, there's things that make me just want to walk up to them. Like I would love to go across to the other side of the lake where there's that big boulder field. And I feel like right on the other side of the lake, you could walk up onto the ridge and get a beautiful view. And then up here, up against those cliffs would be so impressive and dramatic. But walking in this kind of terrain takes a long time. It looks easy, but it's really challenging underfoot when there's no track to follow. This is always the challenge with a hammock, is finding trees that are the correct distance apart. I thought this would be perfect, but I think if I sit onto the hammock, I'm going to touch the ground. Yep. It's almost like I need more attachment points further up. So I'll try turning one of these around. Right, that's going to bring the hammock all the way to there, and that might not be suitable either. There we go, that should do it. Hammock's quite stealth. If it wasn't for the orange sleeping bag, you probably wouldn't see it. Even though it's summertime, it cools down quite a lot once the sun disappears. There's a tiny bit of sun just on the far end of the lake, and I thought we might go and chase it. Just watch the last of the sun disappearing. We're going to have to hurry though. And then what I'm going to do is collect some firewood on the way back, because, as I mentioned, it has cooled down a lot. And I didn't bring a lot of gas because I didn't want to carry too much weight. So I want to make sure that I can definitely have a hot breakfast tomorrow morning, which means I will heat my water for my dinner over the fire tonight. I haven't brought my saw, my axe. Got my saw, but I haven't got my axe. Once again, I was just trying to save weight. So I don't want any branches that are too big. It's really good if you can find something like this that's fallen. There's quite a few branches on the ground, but you have to be a bit careful. This is a classic example. They're actually usually wet if they're on the ground in New Zealand, because our ground is so wet. You've got to find a tree or branch that's fallen but got caught up as it's fallen and hasn't touched the ground. decided to build the fire pit here. It's quite exposed out there, and even though there's not a lot of wind, it just doesn't feel very cozy. The last 2 times I've been here, that's where I've had my fire. So just for a change, I thought I'd come around here. It's far enough away from the trees. Obviously we've got lots of water on hand. And I've scraped away a bit of the dirt from underneath where I'm building the fire, because it would be nice to have some vegetation, you know, some of this ground cover that's been here to put back over once I've got rid of the ashes tomorrow morning. It's pretty tricky with a fireplace, but it's nice if you can try to cover it up so that the next person that's coming along doesn't have to see your fire pit. That one there is obviously one that people regularly use over and over and over, but this is a really nice flat spot for camping, so I don't want to turn it into a permanent fire pit area. I always like to start my fire with a bed of sticks on the base. Because that means as the fire takes hold and the embers fall down, they don't land on the wet ground. They've got something dry to land on. Earlier on, when I was having my cup of tea up there looking at the views, I collected a bit of kindling. So what I've got is old man's beard. I've forgotten the actual name of it, but I always call it old man's beard. This can be really waterlogged. You've got to be really careful. Try and get the pieces that are sort of hanging off in the breeze and the sunlight. They're going to work best. I've got dracophyllum, which is also known as turpentine plant. Because it's flammable, it takes really quickly and easily, and even if it's a bit green, it will still burn. And then the final thing I've got is harakiki flower stalks. Listen to this. They're super dry, but like the old man's beard, these get soggy as well, so you have to make sure that they're dry, otherwise they're useless. They do dry out quickly though, just like old man's beard. So even though it's been raining here in the last few weeks, it's been raining quite a bit, these two, and actually dracophyllum as well, dry out really quickly. If you're walking into camp and you know it's going to be raining, then these are some good things to collect on the way. You can get this, and if you're not too worried about it being scratchy, you can stick it down inside your clothing. Helps to keep you warm as well, and keeps it dry when you're walking in the rain. I brought some firelighters with me. Nice individually wrapped ones because they absolutely stink. But I'm going to try and light this fire without them. Normally I don't have any luck lighting fires without firelighters, because the New Zealand bush is so wet and I do a lot of camping in the rain. So the chances of getting a fire going in the rain are pretty much next to, well, very unlikely. But I have a feeling we might be alright this time round, because we've got a lot of very flammable dry kindling. So let's give it a go. The old man's beard is very smoky when it lights, so watch out, you'll probably get smoked out.
Wow. This is so strange for me. I never get to light fires in the dry. So our dinner tonight, hopefully you can see that, it's a bit bright. It's really hard to get the lighting right when you're in the trees, in the dark with camera light and fire. So I've got Turkish falafel for dinner. Gosh, those frogs. That is going to be quite a racket to go to sleep to. Realised, apart from a couple of sit downs up at the top of the hill, and when I was boiling the water for my tea, I just haven't sat down all day. That's not true. It was a long drive to get here. But I haven't sat down all afternoon. Okay. I wonder what bird that is. Can you hear it? It's like a ee-oo. I'll have to look it up when I get home and put it up on the screen. But it's got a similar sound to the Kia's call, and I wonder if it's a specific call. I'm gonna hop into bed. Oh. With my hot chocolate. And just watch the fire burn out. I have a bit of a headache, so I definitely need this extra drink. I don't know if it's the smoke from the fire or dehydration. I'm looking forward to bed. I think I'm going to sleep well. This is so good. I do come out on a lot of trips. But every single time I feel blessed. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to my husband who holds down the fort back at home. I'm grateful that I have some lovely people who watch my videos. You guys. I'm so grateful to live in a country where I have the freedom to go camping like this, which means that I've got a lot of gratitude for my parents, because we are immigrants. My parents gave up a lot to come to New Zealand, and they did it for the future of their children. Looks like it worked out. And even though the smoke is blowing straight in my face, I'm even thankful, grateful for the fire. Oh. Even though the frogs are noisy, there's something magical about them as well. Because it's natural sound, I think I'm going to enjoy listening to them as I fall asleep. There is so much room in here. So much room. Good night, everyone. See you in the morning. Good morning. Isn't it beautiful? The sun is just peeking through the trees over camp. The sun's been up for a while, but because of the thick trees around us, it's hard for the sun to get here. But it's lovely, just the dappled light, sound of the birds, so good. Coffee time. Actually take this fly off so I can sit here. This is a nice spot, but this sort of gets in the way.
I slept pretty well. I did get a little bit cold though. I sorted myself out because it turned out I hadn't even zipped my sleeping bag up. I just kind of got in and fell asleep and then woke up a bit later thinking, oh man, I'm cold. Partly it was because I had the fly up quite high and then you've got the wide mesh. So the breeze was just coming sort of straight through. You can actually cinch this down more and sort of make the gap where the bug netting is quite narrow so you don't get as much airflow. But considering it was summer, I thought, well, that'll be perfect. But summer in the New Zealand mountains is not like summer down on the coast. Ooh. Delicious. Good. Oh, I always make my coffees too strong on my trips. I have the luxury of a coffee machine back at home, so I'm not usually measuring out my coffee. So I just kind of go, oh yeah. I always thought it was like a scoop per person and a scoop for the pot. It worked. Perfect. Perfect. Oh. I've dismantled the fireplace and I'm really impressed actually. Digging down slightly and just storing all the leaf litter to put back over that scorched patch has really worked. It's good. I suppose if you scrape it back to mud, then you can't really scorch mud in the way that you can if you lit your fire on the grass or on top of the leaf litter. So once the ashes were gone, I could just kick the leaf litter back over. Perfect. For breakfast I've got muesli with pumpkin seeds, walnuts, raisins, coconut, and the last of my cherries from yesterday. I'll finish this up and then get packed up. And the nice thing with this camp is it's going to be so simple to pack up. I really have hardly anything with me. It's so good. So good. I'm just going to
shove the hammock and the sleeping bag into the pack without putting them in their bags, because they're coming out when I get home anyway. When you put everything into their bags, you end up with specifically shaped things, and I'm trying to fill up all the little gaps in my pack, so when your stuff like your sleeping bag or even the hammock is not completely in its bag, you can shove it down into the little gaps, which is really helpful when you don't have a big pack. So in fact, I'm going to pull more of it out. I want a nice big flat space at the top of the pack to put away my camera gear. Right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the big camera away now. I film on a Sony A7C, I think. Oh my gosh, why have I forgotten? I film on a Sony mirrorless DSLR camera. It's quite big lens. I'll get that all packed away, and then I'll use the iPhone for the walk down. I'll show you some of the walk down as I mentioned earlier, because it is really pretty. So what I'm going to do is descend straight down into the riverbed, that really green mossy part, follow that steep part down, it eases off a little bit, and then we leave the riverbed. There's a relatively flat area, and then straight downhill for about an hour. When we get down to the flats alongside the big river that I had to cross, well, I say big river, it is when it's high, but it isn't at the moment. But before I cross that river, I need to go and retrieve my tennis shoes, which I wore to cross because I didn't want to get my boots wet for the walk up here. And I must remember to go and find them in their hiding place. I thought that this trip was going to be all about the destination, because I know how beautiful that spot is up there by the tarn. But what I found is that some of my favourite moments over the last 2 days has been when I've sat down on the side of the track, when I've taken some time to appreciate the wind blowing in the grass, the sun glinting off a little fern, the amazing way that you can look at this carpet of green and think it's just a bit of moss, and then you sit down and you look at it and it's a forest. It's a genuine forest. It's like a miniature forest full of trees and plants of all different shapes and sizes. In one little space there can be 5 different varieties of mosses and ferns and grasses. It's just amazing. And those are my moments of awe. Taking the time to appreciate the small things in life, and that doesn't just mean nature, but it's everything, isn't it? Taking the time to really notice and appreciate the beauty of what you have around you, the beauty of the people that are in your life, the opportunities and experiences that you have. I think it really helps to stave off depression, and it really helps to make you just feel more appreciative and joyful and happy. Happy to be alive. It does for me anyway. I hope it works for you guys too. Thank you to all my wonderful supporters. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you so much. You know who you are, and I definitely know who you are. Till next time, you guys. See you out there.